This week we are going to look at the literary term apostrophe. You should write down the term and the definition in your Bellringer book. Apostrophe, but that's a punctuation mark, not a literary term, isn't it? Today we are not going to be talking about the punctuation mark. We are going to be looking at the poetic apostrophe. According to the Glossary of Literary Terms by Abrams, apostrophe is a direct and explicit address either to an absent person or to an abstract or non-human entity. Often the effect is of high formality or of a sudden emotional impetus. Here's one of the most famous examples of an apostrophe, from Ode on a Grecian Urn by the Romantic poet John Keats. The urn is addressed in the first lines of the poem as "Thou still unravished bride of quietness, thou foster child of silence and slow time." The poet is talking to the ancient urn and the figures painted on it, meditating on its beauty. He knows it is made of clay and cannot respond. He is apostrophizing the urn. Another well-known apostrophe is from the poem Recollections of Love by Samuel Taylor Coleridge. The poem is an apostrophe addressed to an absent woman. At the end of the poem, Coleridge, while speaking to his beloved, turns by sudden impulse to apostrophize the river Greta. You'll see the punctuation at the end of the fourth line on the screen, followed by a direct address to O Greta, the name of the river. The river Greta is a real place, and Coleridge would have known and loved this area well. If you're wondering if this isn't the personification of a non-human object, you'd be correct. The river is personified, given human qualities, but apostrophized by being addressed directly. If the object being addressed is a god, then it's not called an apostrophe, but an invocation. An excellent example of an invocation would be the beginning of John Milton's epic poem, Paradise Lost. These are some of the most famous lines in poetry, where Milton writes at the beginning of Paradise Lost, "And chiefly thou, O Spirit, that dost prefer before all temples the upright heart and pure, instruct me." Well, that's enough of serious literature. You might have watched the British comedy series Miranda, in which the title character often communicates with us, the unseen audience on the other side of the television screen. That's a more modern version of the apostrophe. Another example from popular culture is in the American political series House of Cards, where the main character, Frank Underwood, often addresses the audience in this way. And then there is the movie Ferris Buellers Day Off, where Ferris apostrophizes, giving us, the invisible audience, valuable tips on how to go about bunking school for a day. Not that you'll ever need this information. Drama students, you'll recognize these three examples as breaking the fourth wall. It's a handy way of explaining apostrophe in the modern age. This video is one of a series of Bellringer activities. Students should have Bellringer books, mine use hardcover A5 notebooks, in which they jot down the notes, definition and reminders from these Bellringer videos. Feel free to contact me with any suggestions or queries concerning these video lessons.